Introducing a completely redesigned experience that you can sense. And that senses you. The new Dell Latitude laptops bring your work closer to you.
Tonight, exclusive, the hero tradie who saved a mother and her 3 children from a burning South Fremantle home. Thousands of sheep stuck on a ship off our coast tonight amidst concerns they are sick. A heatwave set to start on the first day back to school for Perth students. A new health hub the government hopes will slow ambulance ramping. And sinners praise for the Australian coach who helped him to Grand Slam glory.
This is 9 News Perth with Michael Thompson.
Good evening. A hero tradie has risked his life running towards a burning home, and it's lucky he did. He saved a mother and her 3 children from potential death, leading them to safety after a blaze damaged 2 homes and a warehouse in South Fremantle.
Smoke, flames and explosions. This South Terrace home in South Fremantle fully engulfed. Inside, a mother, 3 children and a pet dog.
Just like the movies, mate, everything's coming down and just trying to get in and out as quick as I could.
Tradie Ricky Popolia saw the smoke around 12:30 this afternoon from a nearby work site and ran straight towards the burning building, concerned someone could be trapped inside.
I had to kick in the laneway door, went in, 3 kids were stuck in the back room. I had to grab them and run them through the fire. I just grabbed the kids and got them out. They were in hysterics, they were all crying, but I'm just glad that everyone got out safe.
DFS controlled the blaze within 20 minutes, but took another hour to fully extinguish it. But the damage had already been done. A portion of the home turned to rubble.
3 properties have been affected, 2 residential and 1 commercial.
Just worried the flames are going to get into our building, and we all have insurance and everything, but it's still something you don't want to face.
Fire investigators are now clearing the wreckage and assessing the damage. They say the cause of the blaze was accidental. Significant damage, but 4 lives saved.
Just running on adrenaline. I'll calm down now. I'm just glad everyone's safe.
The 35-year-old tradie finishing his day at work before knocking off and heading to the hospital.
A few little burns, but that's better.
Ezra Holt, 9 News.
A boat with thousands of sheep and cattle on board is stuck off our coast tonight after more than 3 weeks at sea. Amber Wilkinson, the boat turned back from the Middle East. Concerns tonight the animals are sick.
Michael, there's 2,000 cattle on board and around 14,000 sheep. They're thought to be worth at least $2 million, and now after 24 days at sea, the boat is sitting off our coast. Today we were told it would dock here at Fremantle, but late this afternoon that changed, and now there's no schedule for it to come to port. Now the ship took off from Fremantle Port on January 5, heading to Jordan. 15 days on, operators sent it to South Africa over safety concerns in the Red Sea. Then Australia's Department of Agriculture recalled the ship. Now the RSPCA worry that the journey is causing the livestock to develop diseases. Today Premier Roger Cook told us that he understands the animals are in good health, but they will be subject to strict biosecurity measures, and it's unclear exactly how much this delay could cost the exporters.
We have facilities which we use in the normal course of events for these sort of activities, but obviously it's a fairly large number in this case.
So I think it would be a very safe assumption that this would be causing significant costs to the exporter and also the importer looking to receive these livestock.
Tonight, Michael, there's no indication of when that ship will be allowed to dock.
Amber, thank you. Some Perth schools will be almost bursting at the seams when Term 1 starts, with WA leading the country in population growth. Our schools are inundated. Caversham Valley Primary now with 5 Year 2 classes.
starting school in large numbers. When the local primary school at Caversham opens its doors this Wednesday, 700 students will file in, the bulk of them in grades 1 to 3, with 4 Year 1 classes, 5 Year 2s and 4.5 Year 3 classes.
It sounds really overwhelming and also sounds very daunting, but there's no one-size-fits-all approach. Some kids are going to be perfectly fine going into schools like this. Other kids are going to find it really difficult.
Today, the principal confirming the school is fully staffed and ready to go. Premier Roger Cook echoing the sentiment that all schools will have a teacher in front of every class.
We won't be short of any teachers. We've been very successful in recruiting international teachers, over 100 I think.
Our schools are rapidly growing in size, migration a big factor. The past financial year seeing an uptick of almost 100,000 people moving to WA. Another driver, big housing developments like these. The last census revealed Caversham had grown by more than 500 families in 5 years. Caversham Valley Primary School only opening 4 years ago. Now it's being forced to expand its development to deal with a growing population. These demountables to be replaced by a new double-storey learning centre at the end of the year. For the little ones making their way into a big cohort, the advice is to be prepared.
To make sure that we support children and make sure that they're safe and feeling comfortable. Keep an eye on them a little bit more in the next couple of weeks.
Rachel Clifford, 9 News.
And the first day back at school coinciding, Natalia Cooper, with the start of a heat wave.
Yes, Tomo, a severe heatwave is forecast for Perth this week. A warning has been issued by the Bureau. It'll be one of our hottest spells of summer so far. 38 degrees the top on Wednesday when the kids go back to school, 39 on Thursday, and we're looking at 38 degrees on Friday. Overnight temperatures will be warm as well in the low to mid-20s. Now, it's all due to a trough which is set to deepen down the west coast. Today was rather mild. After a low overnight of 17.1, we climbed to a top of 28.1 around, pardon me, 12:30. Now that heat will start building from tomorrow. We'll see some relief by the weekend, and I'll be back with the full forecast later in the bulletin. Tomo?
Some scorches on the way. Natalia, thank you. A new patient transport hub will help reduce ambulance ramping, according to the state government. The hub's set to coordinate non-urgent patient transport, but today the opposition said lack of beds is the real issue.
3,213, the number of hours ambulances spent ramping last month. That's down 44% from a year before, the worst December on record.
The Cook Labor government have overseen a 430% increase in ramping since they have come to office.
The measures that we're putting in place are actually working.
Measures soon to be helped by a new patient transport coordination hub known as Patch.
This is an important building block of our approach to improving access to emergency departments for the West Australian community.
Previously, individual clinicians had to find beds and organise non-emergency transfers between hospitals for patients. Now, under the centralised Patch booking system, hub operators will have access to real-time data of bed availability. A transfer vehicle can be sent at the point it is needed, reducing wasted time for patients, crews and doctors.
The Transport Hub will coordinate non-emergency patient transport and patient flow to free up emergency ambulances for those patients that need it.
Patch will eventually form part of WA's yet-to-be-open State Health Operations Centre. It's expected to coordinate 23,000 non-urgent hospital-to-hospital transfers each year.
When it comes to bed block and the lack of beds in our hospital system, non-urgent patient transfers have very little to do with this significant issue.
Jamie Freestone, 9 News.
Vision has emerged tonight of the moment a brawl broke out at Bassendean train station, leaving a 24-year-old man with serious injuries. A 16-year-old boy fronted court today, charged with causing grievous bodily harm. He made no application for bail and will reappear next month. One of 4 men convicted over Australia's worst serial killings could soon walk free. Mark Ray Hayden was sentenced to 25 years jail for covering up South Australia's Snowtown bodies in the barrels murders.
It was the most heinous of crimes, putting South Australia on the map for all the wrong reasons. 11 people tortured and killed, the bodies of some found in barrels in a disused Snowtown bank vault.
These are some of the most graphic, horrific, violent, brutal murders that have happened in Australian history.
But now the man convicted of helping to cover up Australia's worst serial killings will walk free. Mark Ray Hayden's 25-year jail term ends in May, to the distress of the victims' families.
the fact that he's going to be released will just remind them of the fact that that sentence was never long enough.
Hayden was one of 4 arrested over the serial killings, going on trial alongside the main offenders. Ringleader John Bunting, who's serving life with no hope of parole for 11 murders, and Robert Wagner, convicted of 10. Hayden admitted to helping in 2 killings, including of his own wife, and was found guilty of assisting with 5 more. His parole's been rejected twice before, but with his sentence expiring, his release can't be stopped.
As a government, we're responding to this. We've got a few months, of course, before the release happens, and the government is actively exploring all legal options available to us to make sure that the South Australian community is kept safe.
The only option open to the government now is a rare application to the Supreme Court to keep Hayden under supervision in the community, but it will need to prove he remains a potential risk to the community.
If they can't show that, really, once he gets to the end of his sentence, that's it. He's served his time and he has to be released.
Causing more trauma for families who've already confronted unimaginable pain.
It's appalling from their perspective that he's going to have an opportunity to live his life, whereas their loved ones were denied that.
Kelly Hughes at 9 News.
Labor says there'll be no changes to capital gains or negative gearing after that stage 3 tax backflip. Treasurer ruling out more tinkering as the Prime Minister received an unfriendly reception at the Australian Open.
Centre stage on the world stage, about to be upstaged over stage 3 changes.
The Australian Prime Minister, the Honourable Anthony Albanese. The Deputy Victorian Premier.
What are they booing him for? Because, well, we've got a heap of rich people over there watching the tennis finals there and they've had a bit of their tax taken off them.
I think it's a well-worn Australian tradition, and I don't think we should read too much into it.
The Treasurer tonight not reading too much into backbench suggestions of changes to negative gearing or capital gains taxes.
Gone!
Changes that could help first home buyers, but changes that have been rejected at the ballot box.
We're not contemplating or considering resurrecting the policies that we took to the 2019 election.
Maximum should be 2 to 3 houses. That's it, that you can negative gear.
The new stage 3 tax cuts will give workers on $90,000 a year an extra $37.10 per week. Workers on $190,000 get an extra $87.10 per week. And tonight they're being told not to expect more.
We're not leaving Scott Morrison's tax cuts in a drawer somewhere and hoping to put them in place at some future point.
This is really very bad news for anybody who cares about productivity, to create greater incentive and opportunity, backing aspirational Australians who want to have a go.
With the economy in the spotlight, there's growing confidence in the government tonight that Wednesday's quarterly CPI figures will confirm another drop in inflation. And that would all but eliminate the chance of an interest rate rise next week. Charles Croucher, 9 News.
A serious escalation in the Middle East tonight. 3 US troops killed in a drone attack by Iranian-backed forces. Fears of a wider war continue to grow, with the American president warning the US will retaliate.
On this remote and dusty compound, 3 American soldiers dead and almost 3 dozen more injured at the hands of the enemy.
We had a tough day last night in the Middle East. We lost 3 brave souls. And we shall respond.
Iranian-backed militants launching a so-called suicide drone from Syria. Their target, a US outpost called Tower 22. It's located on the Jordan side of the Syrian border. Little is known about its operations, but American forces are in place there as part of an advise and assist mission. This is the first known attack on the base.
It's not clear that Iran necessarily ordered this. What it has become clear is that Iran has funded these groups, has provided them with weapons.
The drone strike hit close to the living quarters. America can't explain why its air defence systems failed, but the Pentagon and President are vowing to hit back. We will take all necessary actions to defend the United States, our troops and our interests.
Here in Washington, multiple US lawmakers are now calling for strikes against Iran. But there's a fine line between needing to respond and forcing an all-out war in the Middle East.
Well, part of our work here is to make sure as things have happened in the Middle East, is not to have the conflict broaden.
Since the conflict in Gaza erupted, America has tried to temper tensions. There have been more than 150 attacks on US and coalition forces, but none were deadly until now.
And US correspondent Alison Petrowski is at the Capitol this evening with more on how the US will respond.
Well, the question tonight is just how far will US President Joe Biden go? Will he continue to order attacks on Iran-backed proxies in the Middle East like we've seen so far with Houthi militants in Yemen? Or will he seek to send a stronger message and strike within Iran's borders? Well, his Republican critics here say anything short of a direct strike on Iran would be cowardly. But look, it comes at a time as negotiators say they are close to a hostage deal, which could result in the pausing of Israel's military operation in Gaza for 2 months. And any escalation with Iran could jeopardise that deal.
A small victory tonight for families battling the high cost of childcare. An investigation by the ACCC has recommended a steward be appointed with powers to regulate the industry.
A year-long inquiry, and the ACCC says it's the childcare businesses that are in need of supervision.
We have found that market forces alone are not delivering for all Australians.
A 300-page report proposes installing a market steward with the power to allocate funding, investigate profit margins and apply tighter regulations where needed.
Because we know that reform is needed in this sector.
The inquiry was commissioned after parents copped a 22% increase in childcare costs over 6 years, something industry spokesman Paul Mondo says has been unavoidable.
That those increases are driven by the underlying changes in operational costs.
Federal changes to the subsidy from July have caused prices to fall 11% at childcare centres, but the watchdog and government are now concerned fees will rebound, leaving families worse off.
Every time the government puts more money into early childhood education and care by increasing the childcare subsidy, that money gets eaten up in an increase in fees.
The affordability challenge now means quite a lot of childcare is happening outside centres like this one, by grandparents. 2/3 now provide some sort of childcare, almost always for free. Grandparents like Donna Ganane, who steps in 2 days a week.
I love it. It's just beautiful spending time with the grandkids.
But with not everyone lucky enough to have a Donna, the government is being told to ease the pressure on parents.
When I had my son, I could stay home and we could live on one wage. But how can you now?
Chris Kohler, 9 News.
The future of much-loved Australian dessert maker Sara Lee and its 53 years of history is tonight secure. The business sold to a private company owned by Clark and Brooke Quinn, who were involved in the purchase of Darryl Lea when it was in voluntary administration back in 2012. About 200 jobs are now saved. We're in a new era of men's tennis. Australian Open champion Jannik Sinner declaring he's just getting started. The emerging Italian superstar enjoying all the accolades last night's Grand Slam title has to offer.
Emerging from a big night of celebrations, Jannik Sinner's still in shock to see his name on the long list of winners.
Yesterday I still maybe couldn't believe and now I start to realise it.
It seemed impossible 2 sets down. Then the 22-year-old reeled Daniil Medvedev in, pulling off an epic 5-set comeback.
And he is the Australian Open champion.
Sinner went straight to the players' box to celebrate with his team, including Aussie coach Darren Cahill. And given he's the first Italian to win an Australian Open, fans on Lygon Street partied accordingly. Tennis Australia is happy too, a fitting conclusion to a record-breaking AO.
There's over 1.1 million people coming through the gates over the course of the 2 weeks.
Jannik Sinner is now off to keep on celebrating, but it is clear his fan base is growing down under and he's determined to make sure this isn't a one-off win at Melbourne Park.
1 year passes fast, so I'm already looking forward to come back.
Next year's AO will look different if Craig Tiley gets his way. Not only is he standing by easier fan access to stadiums and the controversial party court, he's calling on the tennis world to scrap lets to speed up matches.
If the men's and women's singles, men's and women's doubles, if you counted the amount of time that it took to go back and play a point after let was over 15 hours.
It'll be up to the players to decide, but right now the champ's top priority is to catch up on some sleep. Nathan Curry, 9 News.
Perth families chasing a sea change. That's next. The WA coastal towns seeing the biggest real estate gains, and why? Why protesters threw soup at the world's most famous painting? Shooters storm a Catholic church in Turkey. And Camilla visits the King as he continues his royal recovery. Some of Australia's most popular beachside properties are in country WA, but it's not just eastern states investors keen on our real estate. Experts say it's West Aussies chasing a sea change and FIFO workers too.
Escaping the big smoke and settling down in a seaside town.
That lifestyle is the greatest motivator of all. They're getting away from the rat race.
Fresh data from CoreLogic showing our regional coastal suburbs are leading the nation with growth. Mandurah most of all, Bouvard taking the #1 spot, up 28% on last year, with a median price of $560,000. Bunbury and Augusta also performing well. The southwest taking out 3 spots, Secret Harbour jumping 22% at nearly $700,000.
The Perth market at large is in a massive upswing right now, and specifically those lower socioeconomic, lower price point suburbs.
Affordability not the only factor. Families and retirees flocking to these towns for employment and access to amenities. And with an airport nearby in Bustleton, even the FIFO workers are jumping on board.
When you get BHP, Rio and Fortescue Metals all flying FIFO out of Bustleton, that has a massive, massive impact as well.
The sea change came off the back of COVID, with more people taking an interest in lifestyle and a greater desire for coastal living. With city prices soaring, heading to the regions isn't attractive and for many the only option. Eastern state investors also making up a large portion of buyers. Yvonne Ardley, 9 News.
The most famous artwork in the world has come under attack. 2 protesters arrested after storming through security at the Louvre to throw soup at Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa.
She rests behind protective glass, and for good reason. Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa targeted by protesters. The duo hurling soup at the 16th century masterpiece and ducking under a security barrier, their T-shirts bearing the words "Food Response" in French, a climate activist group. What's more important, they scream, art or right to healthy and sustainable food. Museum staff rushing partitions into place and moving visitors on. It comes amid an ongoing protest by farmers who in recent weeks have been using tractors to block roads and slow traffic across the country. They're fighting for more money for their produce, as well as protection against cheap imports and a reduction in red tape. It's a very problematic situation. We want to change that, this food response activist says. It's not the first time the famous artwork has been attacked. In 2022, cake was smeared on its protective glass by a man disguised as an elderly woman in a wheelchair.
No way!
French police say 2 people were arrested over this latest incident. In London, Edward Godfrey, 9 News.
Shooters have charged into a Sunday Mass at a Catholic church in Turkey, killing a man in a targeted attack. Security footage shows 2 masked men enter Santa Maria Church, opening fire as worshippers throw themselves on the floor to avoid the bullets. The killers have now been captured. It's believed they are tied to Islamic State. King Charles won't return to royal engagements for several weeks as he continues to recover from prostate surgery. Queen Camilla visiting him for a 4th time at the same central London clinic where Princess Kate is also recuperating after an abdominal procedure. Melbourne Victory is distancing itself from a vicious brawl targeting Sydney FC fans at Amy Park in Melbourne. Football Australia investigating after the Lord Mayor blasts the hooligans as idiots.
Violence erupts in the heart of Melbourne as accused soccer hooligans run amok. One man repeatedly punches another while one fan lies unconscious on the concrete.
We need blue lights right now. We need blue lights.
One group, police believed to be Melbourne Victory supporters, clashed with Sydney FC fans following the match on Friday night. Paramedics treated 2 of the support marshals for minor injuries.
These people are idiots and they spoil it for many people around them, but at the end of the day they are exceptions to the rule.
In a statement, the A-League says it is overall happy with the 18,000 strong crowd, but it doesn't condone violence at any level and will continue to work to create a safe and enjoyable environment, both inside and outside our venues for all fans. Melbourne Victory has told 9 News it's unclear whether its supporters were involved in the brawl. The club says this is now a police matter. Victory supporters are no strangers to controversy after being slapped with hefty sanctions over a violent pitch invasion at the same stadium. A 23-year-old fan was jailed after hurling a bucket of sand at Melbourne City goalie Thomas Glover. Gillian Lantouris, 9 News.
What happens when a mathematician turns firefighter? Next, applying a formula to the behaviour of fire with surprising results. A new breed of gamers, the demographic startling developers. Chaos in LA as a dog owner tries to save her pooch. And some fun in the sun soured by a milk prank.
9 News, brought to you by Australia's #1 selling vehicle, Ford Ranger.
Scientists are tonight working to learn more about the usually unpredictable nature of fire. One mathematician turned firefighter is using the shape of a blaze to work out its speed and spread.
Take dry eucalyptus. Bake in an oven at 38 degrees. Spread in a combustion wind tunnel.
2 twig, 2 bark.
Add a touch of ethanol.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
And let rip.
We've got 4 corners actually propagating. It's very mesmerising.
This is the Pyrotron at the CSIRO in Canberra, the only research tool of its kind in the Southern Hemisphere. It can withstand up to 1,000 degrees.
You do have the opportunity to just watch because it's safe.
It's also much more precise, though field experiments are still critical to the National Research Lab's work. Its team has been leading Australian strategy for the past 70 years, even creating the fire safety ratings.
Providing a tool to fire services that allows them to be able to do their job better.
Dr. Valentina Wheeler, mathematician and volunteer firefighter, enters the equation.
DDT of X equals V times nu.
The formula aims to predict fire spread, which can move differently depending on its shape and accelerates at corners.
It is a chaos sometimes, but it's also like a predictable chaos if you know where to go.
What firefighters are using these days is far more advanced. Nearly every model that we've developed is now being incorporated in computer programs.
In Canberra, Annalise Bolt, 9 News.
This may come as a surprise, but women over 50 are the new breed of video gamers. The shifting demographic noticed by developers who are creating a new range of games spawned from puzzles and crosswords on the back of hugely successful Wordle. The industry estimates a staggering 80% of Australians play video games. Police strike teams are being deployed in Kalgoorlie following a rise in antisocial behaviour.
We've certainly ramped up the resourcing, reinforce the visibility of police so that people can feel safe to be back on the streets again, as is their right to do so.
Just 10 days ago, security cameras captured the moment a car slammed into a shop in the town, an occupant stealing jewellery. A heartbroken mother has faced her daughter's killer in court today, yelling at him to look her in the eye, calling him a gutless coward. Celeste Mano, the victim of a chilling obsession, the extent of which was revealed today.
Celeste Mano's mother was silent outside court, saving her onslaught for when she faced her daughter's killer. You called yourself a beast, remember, but you meant it in a different context. You are a beast. You're an evil, repulsive, demonic beast. Telling the court this photo of Louise Seiko still makes her stomach turn. Her father also revealing his heartache, saying there's nothing in the world that can replace what was taken from him. Today, harrowing messages were read to the court, revealing the extent of Seiko's obsession towards his former colleague. I'm sorry, but I can't stop thinking about you. It's bordering on OCD. Celeste politely rejected his advancements, but the barrage of messages continued. Seiko harassing her for more than a year, making new Instagram accounts whenever she blocked him, until she went to police and an intervention order was put in place. Celeste was still crippled with fear, telling a colleague he's going to kill me, which he did after she went public with her boyfriend posting this photo. Seiko admitting he broke into the 23-year-old's bedroom as she slept and murdered her. Since then, he's sacked his lawyer, choosing to self-represent as he disputes how many times he stabbed her. Amber Johnston, 9 News.
An attempt to intervene in a dog napping has led to chaotic scenes in Los Angeles. This woman eating lunch with her French bulldog Onyx at her feet when someone grabbed its lead. As she tried to intervene, she ended up on top of the getaway car, luckily not seriously injured. The dog is still missing. Her Eras tour drove up hotel prices around the world and forced airlines to put on extra flights to keep up with demand. Now a new poll shows Taylor Swift's influence extends far beyond the economy and could change the outcome of the US election. It says up to 18% of voters are more likely to support a presidential candidate if the singer endorses them. If you've ever wondered what living on the moon might be like, you've got something in common with the woman in this next report. The researcher spending 2 weeks simulating space survival, tonight sharing her experience.
It's as close as you can get to moonwalking while remaining right here on Earth.
Okay, we're about to head into a lava tube. It is slightly daunting.
QUT researcher Lauren Fell's passion for astronomy taking her to Hawaii inside a 1,200 square foot dome simulation atop the largest active volcano in the world.
You're totally locked in, so for the 2 weeks you've got this kind of fuzzy window to the outside. Or if you step outside, you're in a suit, you're in the helmet.
Surrounded by bare, rocky terrain in freezing temperatures, the High Seas Analog Space Research Station is hardly luxury living.
There's a composting toilet, not a flushing toilet. A kitchen, there's an area where we exercise, which we do an hour every day. I just finished my exercise for the day and thought I'd cap it off with a lunar gravity walk.
But Lauren's moon mission was all in the name of science.
Putting some plants on the moon to see if they can grow as a really early step towards having plants more permanently and sustainably.
One small step toward the great leap of supporting human life there too.
Landing on there and living there for a couple of months might be interesting, might be something that I could do.
Abby Gearin, 9 News.
A trip on the river turned sour for a party group in Melbourne as a teenage prankster dumped bottles of milk on them from a bridge over the Yarra.
Don't do it. Like, it's what, for kicks, for Instagram? It's just, it's grow up.
Grow up indeed. The boy also filmed throwing eggs at another boat. Police are now investigating. At-home health tests, are they doing more harm than good? After sport, why doctors are telling us to throw them in the bin. And bad news for lovers of iced coffee tonight. But first, Matthew Pavilich is here with Sport and Pav. A well-known Aussie is driving Sinner's success.
Yeah, he sure is, Tom, and it's great to see an Australian coach and legend spearheading the Italians' charge. Dominant Darren, Sinner's major, adds to the Mentors' title tally. Locked and loaded, the coach backs in Australia's underperforming batters, and a scare for the skipper as Duggan departs the training track early.
Incredibly fun, remarkably functional, and effortlessly stylish. Introducing the all-new Ford Puma. A compact SUV that really packs a punch. Looking good has never been this easy. Secure yours today. The all-new Ford Puma. Effortlessly stylish.
As Yannick Sinner celebrates his maiden Grand Slam title, a well-known Australian coach has been praised for his impact behind the scenes. Darren Cahill mentoring the major talent, adding to his impressive coaching CV, which has boasted Andre Agassi, Simona Halep and Leighton Hewitt. Cahill's cool head keeping Sinner composed in the 5-set thriller.
He is a key person of our team. He has a lot of experience, which helped us to handle the situation and the pressure in the right way.
The 22-year-old confident his first title is just the beginning of the sport's changing of the guard. Andrew McDonald has thrown his support behind Australia's underperforming batting lineup after their shock defeat at the hands of the West Indies. The coach praising Steve Smith's move to the top of the order, declaring the new look order will be successful.
Heading home after an historic loss, Australia looking ahead, adamant there's no issues with their rejigged batting lineup.
No, definitely not. No, we're not in the mood to change the batting order. We feel like as a collective that unit will be able to have success over multiple test matches, and we'll let that play out.
The coach quickly turning to positives, citing Steve Smith's and Cam Green's second innings.
Felt like in this game, and the 91 not out was a significant knock, and the way he was able to control it and give us an opportunity. Cameron Green got some time in the middle. Once he's up and going and moving well, it's a pretty good sight.
But conceding, Marnus Labuschagne's in a form slump with only one century from his past 35 innings.
He's been undone by certain plans at times, so there's no doubt he'll be looking into that as he normally does. He'll get busy, he'll get back to work, and we've got full confidence in his ability to rebound.
Australia's batting woes were somewhat lost in the celebrations of a West Indies victory. And Shamar Joseph.
I still cannot believe it. His life's just like a fairy tale.
The breakout star swapping shirts and signatures with Pat Cummins, arriving in the Test arena where he wants to stay despite T20 temptation.
I love it. I love Test cricket. Test cricket is so good. I enjoy playing Test cricket. For my only 2 Test matches I play, I feel like I play 100 Test matches so far. It's just amazing.
Attention now turning to the shorter format with 3 ODIs starting Friday. Paddy Sweeney, 9 News.
West Coast co-captain Liam Duggan has escaped serious injury after leaving the track early with a leg complaint. The 27-year-old taking part in the majority of today's session before limping off and receiving treatment for a cork after the cameras went down. Meantime, the future of North Melbourne's Taryn Thomas remains in limbo after a 2-hour meeting with the AFL's integrity unit.
Taryn, do you think you have a case to answer today?
No comment.
Do you feel as though your career might hang in the balance on this meeting?
No comment.
The 22-year-old remains banished from the club while he is investigated over domestic violence allegations. Well, Australia's women's rugby 7 side admits there's plenty of learnings to take from yesterday's loss to Ireland in the final. The 19-14 defeat in the maiden Perth event was Australia's first this World Series. The Aussies confident they can bounce back in Vancouver next month.
We've got a process, right? We stuck to that process, and that's what it takes in these big games. We kind of went away from that process a little bit, a bit of footy brain that just wasn't there, and we'll look back at it. We're either winning or we're learning.
Australia's men also defeated in the decider, thumped by Argentina 31-5. Socceroos coach Graham Arnold has warned his team needs to take their game to another level after booking a spot in the Asian Cup quarter-finals with victory over Indonesia. The 4-0 scoreline flattering the Aussies, with 2 goals coming in the dying minutes of the match.
We can do better in every aspect. The most important thing is we get our game right, we get our brains clear, our brains ready, and then the boys know their jobs and they can go out and get it done.
Australia will face either Saudi Arabia or South Korea in the quarters next weekend. And the Kansas City Chiefs have booked their place in next month's Super Bowl. Taylor Swift was in the house and partner Chiefs superstar Travis Kelce set an NFL record for postseason receptions.
From the 19, throwing at the goal line, and it's caught by Kelce for the touchdown.
Impressive display. The Chiefs going on to defeat the Baltimore Ravens 17-10. The AFC Championship win sealed with a kiss. They'll face the San Francisco 49ers, who beat the Detroit Lions by 3 points. Now, it's already a massive build-up to the Super Bowl, as always, but we talked about this before, the Taylor effect, presidential election influence. There's no doubt to be a huge build-up with Taylor involved and Travis Kelce as well.
So is the thing that she will make it even bigger than it is, the event and the interest?
There's been lots of cameras on her in the box in all the matches this season, in particular some of these big ones as well.
All her A-list friends as well. Matthew, all right, thank you. The shocking amount of sugar in some flavoured milks, that's next, and the at-home health test doctors say you should throw in the bin. Then extreme heat is on the way, Natalia Cooper. It's just as school is about to return.
That's right, Tomo. We're looking at temperatures in the high 30s for the first 3 days back at school. Your full forecast is coming up.
A warning tonight for iced coffee lovers. Cancer Council health experts finding some iced coffee flavoured milks contain nearly an entire day recommended sugar intake. A 750ml Ice Break regular strength iced coffee has 9 teaspoons of sugar, while Dare Double Espresso of the same size has 7.5 teaspoons. The daily recommended sugar intake for an adult is about 12 teaspoons per day. Online health check tests are a rapidly growing market, and some consumers spend thousands of dollars a year on them. Now experts are warning some may be bogus and potentially doing more harm than good.
Online shopping can be a minefield at the best of times, especially when it comes to your health. Buying direct-to-consumer tests a growing market.
I think the most surprising finding was the sheer
amount of tests that are being sold out there.
A world-first study from the University of Wollongong identified almost 500 direct-to-consumer test products available to Australians online, with prices ranging from $12.99 to almost $2,000. It found some commercial health checks had limited evidence behind them, among them tests to determine biological age, bone health, microbiome analysis and sleep quality. Some other tests, many not recognised by the medical community, include hair analysis for food allergies and tests for leaky gut syndrome and adrenal fatigue. The small percentage of online tests found to have potential clinical use include bowel cancer test kits, STI home tests and cardiovascular disease risk factor tests. Following the COVID pandemic, a lot more people feel confident testing at home, which is why this market has grown so rapidly. However, this study found only 10% of direct-to-consumer tests offer any information that can be usefully acted on.
Online testing can be very empowering for the Australian consumer, but at the same time it's got to be treated with a degree of caution.
It's quite important to consult a healthcare professional who can get a better understanding of the context of your symptoms, get a sense of your medical history.
Zara James, 9 News.
To finance now, and another positive day on the share market has put the ASX within striking distance of a new record high. Here's finance editor Chris Kohler.
The ASX has now had 6 positive days in a row, taking it within 1% of its highest level ever. But milestones like that get some investors excited and others nervous. The market has struggled to break through these sorts of levels a couple of times in the last few years. Today, the banks and Qantas outperformed, while mining heavyweight BHP gave up some ground, and the Australian dollar is hovering just below 66 US cents. But signs of weakness in the Chinese economy have caused the Commonwealth Bank analysts to forecast a fall. They say by the end of March, one Aussie will be buying 63 US cents.
Finally tonight, how do you clean windows on a building without leaving the ground? With a drone, of course. Australian First technology tested today on the Convention Centre in Sydney. The operators say human safety is the obvious benefit of using drones, but it does take the thrill out of high-rise cleaning. It's getting hotter. Natalia's forecast is next.
Switch on a Daikin Alira X split system with advanced streamer technology to remove more than 99% of harmful indoor air pollutants and surround yourself with cleaner air this summer. Daikin, perfecting the air.
Welcome back. It was a very pleasant start to the working week. Plenty of sunshine and rather mild temperatures for January. After a low overnight of 17 degrees, we climbed to a top of 28 around 12:30 this afternoon. Right now it's sitting on 22.4, but it feels a touch cooler than that with the breeze. To the charts, and a high pressure system will bring fine weather this week, and it's going to hot up as a trough develops and then deepens down the west coast. Taking a look around the nation tomorrow, some very heavy falls in Brisbane. Up to 90 millimetres could land in the gauges. Sydney can expect a shower or two at a top of 29 degrees. Partly cloudy and 24 in Melbourne and 28 the top in Adelaide. Back in the north of our state, mostly sunny and 38 in Kununurra, 34 degrees in Port Hedland and 32 in Karratha. Marble Bar a very hot 43, Newman 40 and Meekatharra 39 degrees. Further south, the hot 37 degrees in Geraldton, 33 in Bunbury and 25 the maximum in Albany. Esperance is going for 26 tomorrow, but by Friday it'll be 41 degrees. On the waters, southeasterly winds 15 to 25 knots, tending southerly in the middle of the day, seas to 2.5 metres and swell as high as 2 metres. Around the suburbs, Joondalup going for 35 degrees tomorrow, as is Fremantle, 37 the max at Kalamunda and a cooler 33 at Rockingham and Mandurah. So things will start warming up in Perth tomorrow, sunshine and 35 degrees after a low tonight of 18. Then severe heatwave conditions are expected for 3 days. A warning has been issued by the Bureau. Now on Wednesday, that's the first day back at school. We're looking at a top of 38, 39 degrees for Thursday and back to 38 on Friday. Overnight temperatures are looking really warm, as high as 24 degrees on Thursday morning. After that, it will cool off to 30 degrees on Saturday, 28 the top for Sunday and 29 degrees by next Monday. So some scorching weather is ahead of us and it'll be pretty uncomfortable for all those kids heading back to school. Tomo?
It's been feeling like a mild January so far, but it was bound to happen. Natalia, thank you. That is 9 News Perth. Thanks for your company. Our next local news is tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. Current Affairs next. Enjoy your evening right here on 9.